英国寄宿学校的一些内容，其中包括了防疫的政策，包括了脱欧之后的一些新政策。我们也请到了英国寄宿学校协会的 Caroline Nixon 女士为大家来做这次直播分享。OK， 那我们现在就进入正题。OK, now I'm going to leave the floor to the Caroline. Caroline, please.
Thank you very much, Sang, and thank you for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just going to share my screen and hopefully you'll be able to see my presentation. Okay. Can everybody see that all right?
Yeah, we can see it. Everyone else has been muted.
All right, thank you.
You can just go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, thanks again for inviting me. Thank you to BOSSA and thank you to everybody who's listening for their time. I'm going to talk to you today about the Boarding Schools Association, which is usually just called the BSA, what it is and what we offer to our members. And I'm also going to talk to you about the situation in the UK boarding sector. And obviously that will include the COVID-19 situation. Then I'm going to go on to talk to you about the BSA Certified Agent scheme, what it is and what the benefits are to you of joining it. So first of all, I should probably introduce myself. My name is Caroline Nixon, and I've worked in international education for over 30 years. I set up and ran as principal for many years an international school in the UK. And I also run my own educational consultancy, Caroline Nixon Education, in which I help UK schools to set up and run schools abroad. And I'm also the international director of the BSA, and I'm director of BASIS, which stands for British Association of Independent Schools with International Students. So, as I say, the Boarding Schools Association, or BSA, is a members' association for boarding schools, and it champions boarding and it promotes boarding excellence. And the BSA was founded in 1963, and it's by far the largest association of boarding schools in the world. It has more than 600 independent and state boarding schools as members, and over 500 of those schools are based in the UK, with the other 115 about schools based in 39 other countries around the world. But in the UK, we have 77,000 boarders, and more than 29,000 of those are international students. We offer our 600-ish members around the world the following services. Free online forums, so they can meet each other and talk about any issues that they want to. Free advice, so at any time schools can email or contact the BSA and one of our team will get back to them straight away and answer their question. We write weekly newsletters and those are free of charge. In fact, at the moment, they're far more frequent than weekly because there are so many updates that we have to do in keeping members up to date with the changing COVID situation. So at least weekly updates. And we also offer networking, training and development, and we also offer a consultancy service. And in the last few months, we have created a COVID safe charter, and we have supported our members with COVID regulation updates from around the world, as well as supporting schools with their international recruitment of students. And even in this difficult time, all our training and development programs have carried on online where they used to be in real life. We also know that BSA accreditation is a powerful marketing tool for our member schools because it assures potential parents of the quality of the school. Schools which are new to boarding or perhaps can't quite reach the level in order to be a BSA member, they can receive our help. They can join the BSA as provisional members. They can access all our training and advice, and then they can go through, with our support and our help, go through our inspection process to become full members. So that's the BSA in a nutshell. But the BSA is also part of a larger group, as you will see on this slide. And there are 3 other organisations in the BSA group, which I will introduce. So there's SACPA. SACPA stands for Safeguarding and Child Protection Association. And that was set up last year to share our expertise in safeguarding and child protection with organisations that are not schools. So, for example, youth clubs, local government organisations, sports clubs, activity camps for children or young people. And SACPA, as I say, was only set up last year, but it already has 170 members. Then the next organisation that's part of the BSA group is BASIS, that I have already mentioned. So BASIS stands for British Association of Independent Schools with International Students. It started in 1997 and it joined the BSA group last year, and I'm the director of BASIS. BASIS is a networking group of 90 top UK schools. It says 89 on my slide, but we've just had a new member yesterday, so it's actually 90 top UK schools. BASIS defines and shares best practice on academic and pastoral provision for international students. And we offer specialised training and staff development on issues such as teaching international students in the mainstream classroom. So, for example, we help teachers to develop practical teaching strategies for teaching students for whom English is not their first language. So I'm talking about things like being careful not to use idiomatic language or cultural references too much in the classroom, and other good teaching practice such as pre-teaching vocabulary. And we also help boarding staff with practical tips for helping international students to integrate successfully into the boarding house and also into the wider life of the boarding school. And much of the training that we offer is free of charge to our members. Also members can access their peer group in other similar schools so that they can discuss issues, share things that they do which they find work well. And the fact that a school chooses to join BASIS is a clear sign that they take very seriously their work of supporting and helping their international students to achieve the very best, highest academic results possible, and also to have the best, most fully integrated time in the school. So BASIS membership acts as a mark of quality to agents and parents who are looking for a British boarding school. And BASIS, as well as being a sister organisation to BSA, has a partnership with BOSSA, and that's why I'm here today. And then the final organisation that belongs to the BSA group is called BSAB. It's the newest member of the BSA group. The B stands for Bulldog because we've teamed up with a publishing company, Bulldog Publishing, and we've launched a website called schoolplaces.org, schoolplaces.org. And that's a live information resource for agents, schools and parents. And the idea is to help any of those agents or parents to find schools which have school places available right now. all in one place, all on one website. So if, for example, you were looking for a place in a UK school for a Year 9 girl to start right now, in a school which offers horse riding, let's say, you could email all the schools in the UK to try to find a place that suits. But otherwise, you could just go on to schoolplaces.org and find which schools have a place right now for a Year 9 girl who wants to ride a horse at school. Okay, so that is, those are our, the parts of the BSA group, the organisations that are part of the BSA group. On the next column on my slide, you will see that School Places, which I've just described, is listed there as a new service. And then there are another 2 services which we set up, or I set up for the BSA last year. We set up a guardianship scheme and we set up an agent scheme. I'll just talk briefly about the guardianship scheme because I'm going to talk in more detail about the agent scheme later. So the guardianship scheme was set up because we have always known that it's really important for international students who are at school in the UK to have a guardian to look after them at the times when the school is closed, to arrange the travel to and from the school, to take the place of the parent at parents' meetings and school events. But some schools, I think, had not really appreciated the importance of good guardianship until the recent COVID situation. And then the COVID situation really did bring it home to them, the importance of a good guardian who will care for them. And I think all schools in the UK really now get that. But some guardians are not properly checked or active enough, or they don't fully understand their responsibilities. And schools need to know which guardians are going to be best to work with and provide the best care and liaise properly with the school and the parents to give the best possible care. And so we set up the Guardian scheme, and it's very timely because actually the government has brought out is going to bring out new national minimum standards for boarding schools, which are going to place a much higher responsibility on the school to make sure that the child has an excellent guardian. So that was one scheme, and we now have 31 certified guardians. And the other scheme that I set up last year was a certified agent scheme, which I'm going to talk about in more detail later. Okay, and the final column in my slide, virtual programs, just to say that the BSA, as well as BASIS and SACPA, offer subsidised to its members conferences, one-day seminars, webinars on all kinds of issues and aspects and topics of concern to boarding schools. So just to mention a few examples of things that we've offered in the last few weeks. We've offered conferences on safeguarding, peer-on-peer abuse, diversity and inclusion, international recruitment, and then all aspects of boarding in our 2-day boarding conference. And we also offer bespoke training through our experts on the senior leadership team. And then through the BSA Academy, we offer professional development programs that go right up to master's level. And all of these programs are online and therefore can be accessed readily and equally easily by anybody in any country in the world. Okay, so that's an overview of the BSA and the BSA group. I'm now going to move on to give an overview about the situation in the UK at the moment. So looking at my first column, just a little background about boarding schools in general in the UK. So there are about 2,000 boarding schools in the world, and 500 of those are in the UK, so about 25% of them in the UK. And that's also where the tradition of boarding schools started. So the first boarding school in the world is supposed to be King's School Canterbury, which started in 597, so nearly 1,500 years ago. So we've had plenty of time to get it right. And but most, I would say, most boarding schools in the UK opened in the 18th or 19th centuries. And the popularity of boarding in the UK today is based on children having plenty of time to be in schools and use all the fantastic facilities, the libraries and the swimming pools and the theatres and the other sporting facilities and everything that you can think of, without spending time on travelling backwards and forwards. And of course, in the boarding school, at all times, they have specialised and top qualified teachers and pastoral staff on hand all the time to help them. And then there's also the fact that pupils can make friends and future networking links with other children from all over the world, you know, the future leaders of the world. Because a recent survey, a recent British Council survey, showed that 1 in 11 present world leaders were educated in the UK. So it's a great networking opportunity. And I suppose those factors that I've just outlined, those are also the factors that make UK boarding education attractive for international students, along with the fact that UK qualifications are portable, by which I mean that you can get into university in any country in the world with those qualifications, with British qualifications. And also, of course, academic standards and pastoral care are outstandingly high in the UK. And then I would say, of course, the other attractive factor is becoming truly bilingual, which in today's world and certainly in tomorrow's world is turning into a necessity. So there are many international students in the UK. It's actually, I think it's 5.4% of students in UK private schools are international. And that, as I said earlier, is about 29,000 children whose parents live in other countries. So that's the situation in schools. Now, moving on to COVID. Of course, the global pandemic has been incredibly disruptive for everyone across the world. And in the UK, schools have been closed since January, although any international pupil who was already in the UK on January the 4th, which is when the schools were closed, was allowed to stay in their boarding house. So independent schools in the UK have done a fantastic job of online teaching and learning, and most have also offered a full programme of lessons, as well as clubs and activities and pastoral care, all online. And it has been an incredible learning curve for schools and teachers, as well, of course, as students. And I'm sure that many of the things that have been learned will carry on being used to good effect. So that is one good thing, at least, that has come out of this situation. But no one's pretending that online learning is the same thing as actually being in school. And now, thankfully, the situation has changed dramatically, as you can see on these statistics on the screen. So as of now, 23 million people have been vaccinated in the UK or had their first jab in the UK. And that 23 million is actually 45% of the UK adult population. So we expect that within the next week, perhaps by the end of this week, half of the adult population will have been vaccinated against COVID. So that is fantastic news. And of course, you can already see that it's had a dramatic effect on the COVID statistics. So the number of deaths from COVID, or deaths of people with COVID, I should say, are down 41% in the last week. The number of cases of COVID has gone down by 34% in the last week, and hospital admissions have gone down by 29% in the last week. So that's a great thing, and we're all really excited by that, obviously, and looking forward to getting back to normal. So it's fantastic. But before this, even when schools were open before they were closed in January, that we had already started to, well, more than started, had already established really good processes and procedures to deal with the COVID threat. So schools had already built up all sorts of medical protocols for handling the pandemic, and those will continue. So, I mean, boarding schools in the UK have their own medical centres and their own medical staff and nurses. And so that means that students and staff can be tested there. So there has to be a minimum of 2 tests for every child, and as many as necessary if there are any symptoms or close contact. And then any children who are unwell or have been in close contact with somebody who is unwell or has tested positive can be kept in isolation in the medical centre, in the school, and be nursed there if necessary. So vaccinations that I've already talked about at present are being given only to adults, but when they get down and start vaccinating older teenagers, which they're going to vaccinate 16 to 18-year-olds, then international students will be vaccinated as well in school, as well as the UK students, assuming that their parents agree. And in the meantime, students are being kept in small bubbles, small groups of students, so that they don't come into contact with too many other students. Masks are being worn everywhere in school. Contact sports aren't happening to protect students from getting too close to each other. And all sorts of things have changed. Meal times have changed so that students eat in smaller groups rather than as a whole school. There's no buffet style food so that you don't touch the same serving spoons as other people. There's obviously extra cleaning and sanitizing, and schools are using one-way systems so that people don't meet each other face to face, as it were. So huge amount of different things are happening in schools to keep students safe. And with all those facts, in the previous 2 columns that I've just spoken about, schools were able to go back 2 days ago, so Monday. Schools reopened on Monday, March the 8th in England, and everything seems to be going very well. Students are absolutely delighted to be back at school. And, people are just very pleased to get back to some kind of normality. Quarantining, anyone who comes into the UK has to do 10 days quarantining, but that quarantining for boarding students can be done in school. So international students coming into the UK, rather than doing their 10 days quarantining in hotels, can go back to their boarding school and do their quarantining there under strict rules with tests done. If they're over 18, they still have to go to a hotel, but under 18s can go to their school to do it. So now looking to the future in my next column, obviously there have been concerns that with COVID, the September numbers in UK boarding schools would go down. But actually, these fears seem to be unfounded. In fact, the opposite. Registrars and admissions staff in UK boarding schools are saying that numbers seem to be up. And certainly that parents who are inquiring and applying are more serious than before. Actually, it's the case that even in this academic year, 2020 to 2021, numbers have been higher than ever. It's just that they've been online. Partly due to the number of UK parents who have started at independent schools because the online learning has been so good, but also international students. So obviously some new international students didn't come to the UK, but we at the BSA have done a survey which shows that 97% of the students already enrolled in British boarding schools carried on, even if it was online. So even in the present time, numbers of international students are higher than ever this year. And as I say, looking at September, that seems to be carrying on the same. So that is a relief that COVID doesn't seem to, even all the present barriers with COVID, the testing, the quarantine, the social distancing, the difficulty with travels. Even so, it appears that that has not dented the attraction of UK education. Well, I mean, it's kind of surprising, but I think the point is that parents want their children to be in school after such a long time at home. And I think there's a feeling that boarding school is a safer place to be, and less likely to have disruption in provision than a day school. And as I say, certainly, although nobody can be sure of the situation in September, it is extremely likely to be safe by then in the UK. And we can be pretty confident about that because the vaccination programme is going so well, as I've said. And by the early summer, the government expects that the total population will have been offered, the total adult population will have been offered a vaccination. And in the unlikely event that something goes wrong and the situation stays bad, then nearly all schools will offer money back or deferred entry. And you can speak to the individual school about their policy on refunds and deferments. And then I suppose, finally, the reason for what might seem rather unlikely, that applications to UK boarding schools are increasing at this time, I suppose that all the many good reasons for sending a child to the UK for schooling still remain. And the UK is a very safe and secure society compared to other countries, judged on any standards, such as the lack of civil unrest, the high standards of travel safety, the low levels of crime and violence, etc. And all the reasons I've already outlined why UK education is valued in itself. And that none of those have changed because of COVID, which, as we all know, anyway, presents very low levels of risk to children. But I would also say that all this, there have been some changes from COVID. I think that one change resulting from COVID in schools is that UK schools have become much more flexible in terms of entry points and the times of year when they will accept new students into them. And they're much more flexible too than they used to be about parents choosing to defer entry for their child. And then I think that the move online that we've all had to get used to has made other changes happen that will stay permanently, which I've called here COVID keepers. And those changes that I think will remain are the online teaching and learning, all the skills that teachers have had to learn very quickly to teach online. Those skills will remain and will inform their teaching. And then I think that schools have had to get a lot better about communicating with agents and communicating with parents, and hopefully that will remain. And the move as well to online marketing and admissions. So instead of schools traveling all around the world with representatives to meet parents and meet agents, a lot of that is now happening online, video tours, online tours, online meet the head, that kind of thing. I think all those things will remain, and that is, as I say, is the good outcome of what has been a bad situation. And then my final column in this slide, just to touch on other UK education issues. Obviously, we've gone through Brexit, and that has meant that we have created a new immigration system, because now EU students, as well as non-EU students, have to have visas to come to school in the UK. So the new immigration system is online and much simpler. It's called you get a student visa or a child student visa instead of the old Tier 4 system. I think some agents have been concerned that because EU students now have to have visas, that might mean fewer visas for non-EU international students. But actually, that is not the case. Schools can simply apply for more CASs, more visas so that numbers can remain the same. Okay, so a lot happening in the UK at the moment, as I've outlined. It has been a difficult time, but things are looking very positive now. So obviously during this time, during the pandemic, the BSA has been very busy. Back in the first lockdown, the BSA created a COVID safe charter, which went far beyond government measures. And this charter outlined measures that all its member schools would take and all the member schools would keep to when they reopened. So the charter covers issues such as hygiene, cleaning, testing, isolation of students, one-way systems, no contact sports, ways of eating, as I've explained, changing, use of masks, all those kinds of things are outlined in the COVID Safe Charter. And that charter was translated into several different languages, such as Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Arabic, and I think it went a long way to reassuring parents and to disseminating best practice among schools. We also created a checklist for return that schools could follow to create risk assessments for how they were going to deal with these issues in their schools and best practice. And we also gave advice to schools in webinars and also individual advice. We kept schools updated with all the differing government guidelines from the start of the pandemic last March 2020 until now. And not just, as I've said before, not just our usual weekly newsletters, but bulletins most days and sometimes several bulletins a day as government guidelines changed. And we also gave individual help to schools who needed it in relating the government guidance to their specific school setup. We have liaised with government departments and we have lobbied government departments such as the Home Office, the Foreign Office, the Department for International Trade, the Department for Education. We have won many concessions through our relationships with the government departments on, for example, boarding schools being able to be used as quarantine centres, as I've just said, students being able to go to their guardians at half term, and wider use of facilities during lockdown for international students who had to stay in their boarding houses throughout this time. So it has been an incredibly busy time for the BSA, and we're just very pleased now to be coming through that time, and as I say, back to some kind of normality. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to talk to you about the BSA Certified Agent scheme. So the BSA set up this scheme last summer so that agents could become certified. This was really, the idea behind this was that UK schools have to do due diligence on the many educational agents that they work with. And there have been some changes to the immigration system recently that make this even more a necessity. So schools have to know, and our school members have asked us to help them with some kind of quality assurance so that they know that they're working with the very best agents and they can prove that to the government, that they're working with the best agents around the world. So because of this demand, we set up the Agent Certification Scheme, and I'm hoping very much that BOSSA agents will apply to become BSA Certified Agents. So as I say, the BSA and our member schools are looking to work with the very best education agents and consultants around the world. And our certified agent scheme is an assurance of professional quality. It's a training and certification program. It provides assurance to BSA boarding schools that they're dealing with consultants and agents who have the very highest standards in recruitment, safeguarding, student placement. And the scheme, being part of the scheme, is a clear demonstration to BSA boarding schools of the quality and the intention of the agent who reaches certified status. Also, BSA agents have to sign up to a code of conduct, and that also gives reassurance to BSA schools. So those are the reasons for schools why they like to work with BSA certified agents. But what are the benefits to you as the agent? So the answer to that is that the scheme, if you are a BSA certified agent, the scheme gives you access to the full BSA membership, which, as I have said, has over 600 member schools, 500 in the UK, roughly, and the others around the world. It also gives you certification. As you can see, the certificate, or a little bit of the certificate, you see on the left-hand side of the screen. So you get a certificate. You can use the BSA Certified Agent logo on all your marketing materials, your brochures, your website, your email signature, and so on. You get free listing on the BSA website. You get an electronic introduction to our member schools through our weekly newsletter. You get weekly updates. You get the weekly newsletters and bulletins that I've talked about. And in those updates, you will get information about BSA training, any changes to legislation, including UKVI, all sorts of key information. You get discounted access to BSA training, BSA conferences, and networking events. And these are all online, so you can access them from any country in the world. And two free of charge conferences or webinars every year. So 2 free events a year. The other thing that we offer our certified agents is that we work with them in whatever ways are most helpful to them. So, for example, we can work with you to deliver free of charge an online seminar or question and answer session for your potential parents, and we're happy to do that at any time to suit you. And as the scheme gets bigger, the plan is that BSA schools will only use agents that are BSA certified. So that is the scheme. And as I mentioned at the start of my talk, BASIS, which is part of the BSA group, and BOSSA are partner organisations. And so because we're partners, I'm happy to be able to offer a discount to all BOSSA agents on the normal cost of the scheme. So the normal price is £1,500 for 3 years, £1,500 for 3 years. But if you're a BOSSA agent, you get a reduction to £1,250. And you'll see the price on the information booklet and the application form. But if you write on your application form that you're a BOSSA agent, then I'll apply the discount to your invoice. So very straightforward how to apply application. Very straightforward. You can find our information booklet and our application form on the BSA website, or you can email me and I will send it to you. And the application form asks for the details of your business, so your name, your company address, your website, proof of successful operation in the sector, and any marketing materials that you have if they're not already on your website. And then we also ask for the names of 2 schools in the UK where you have placed students in the past. So this is an important part of the certification process. You do need to have placed at least 1 student into at least 2 schools in the UK. I will then do our own background checks, and I will take up references from the 2 UK schools. And after that, assuming everything is satisfactory, I will then offer you membership. But basically, what we're looking for is a commitment to providing high quality advice and support, evidence of good relationships with your clients and with schools in the UK, good knowledge of the British education system and the boarding ethos, and an agreement to commit to the BSA Code of Conduct. So that's it. You get a form. If you have any problems filling in the form, you can just email me and I will help you. And once you have membership, we introduce you to all our schools and we send you the certificate and the BSA agent logo to put onto your marketing materials. At present, we have 32 agents on our certified agent list. So you would be part of a very exclusive club at this stage. And obviously, as I've said, it will make BSA schools prefer to work with you than with other agents. So that is a fairly quick run through of the BSA and what we offer, the situation in the UK at present, and the BSA Certified Agent Scheme. But I'm going to stop at this point and take any questions from you.
Thank you, Caroline. 如果大家有任何问题的话，可以在聊天框里面把自己的问题打下来。Caroline, I got one question. Is that if agents want to establish a cooperation with a boarding school in the UK, so they're gonna go directly to the school, or they just go to the school through you?
Directly to the school, but if there are any problems or you need any help, then of course you can come to me and I will help. But ordinarily, it should be simple enough, especially once you have BSA certification, you can go directly to the school. It will typically be to the admissions secretary or the registrar and set up cooperation with that school.
Okay. And the certification of the BSA is, it's exclusive for the establishment of cooperation with schools. I mean, if they don't have, these schools will not cooperate with agents, right? Or they can.
Could you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I mean the agents, if they don't have the certificate with the BSA, but they still want to cooperate with the schools, will school accept a cooperation, or they refuse?
I see. At the moment, BSA schools will still cooperate with non-certified agents, but they will have to do the schools would have to do their own checks on that agent, because the UKVI system in the UK, it means that schools must do due diligence on all agents that they work with. So a school would have to check out, exactly as I've described, the agent and take up references and so on. So for that reason, schools will much prefer to work with a BSA certified agent, because those checks and those references have already been done by us.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I've got one in the chatting box. Yeah, in the chatting box, someone asks, could you explain more about becoming BSA certified agent? Like, how can I get in touch with schools of BSA?
Right, okay. The first thing to do is to get in touch with me on my email address that I have shown via the BSA, and I will send you the information booklet and the form so that you can fill it in. Once we have gone through the certification process, I would, and you have successfully completed it, I will send you the certificate and the logo. And at that point, I will introduce you to all of our BSA schools. So the first thing to do really is to get the booklet and the application form from me, fill it in. I will take you through the process and guide you through the process. If there's any difficulties, I will help you. And as I say, at the end, when you get the certificate and the logo, I will then introduce you to BSA schools. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. 大家如果还有什么问题，都可以在聊天框里头打进来。All right, I think it's good for now. I think the agents need time to digest the content.
Well, if any agent at any point would like to ask me any other questions, then please email me and I'll be very happy to answer any questions that they have.
Okay, and I will keep you updated if any agents is interested in being BSA certified agents.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, here comes another question about the question is about how much is the guardian fee?
Oh, okay. So if you want to apply for the Guardian certification scheme, it's exactly the same. So exactly as I've said with the agent scheme, the charge for a Guardian scheme is £1,500. But as I say, because a BOSSA agent, because of the partnership between BOSSA and BASIS, I could offer the Guardian scheme also at the discount rate of £1,250. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't personally do the guardianship certification, but you can still email me for any questions about it, and I will introduce you to my colleague, Amy Davis-Potter, who is the BSA Director of Guardianship. And exactly as I've described, she will help you through the process of certification to become a BSA Certified Guardian. So if you want any more information about guardianship, still come to me, and as I say, I will pass you on. The cost is the same.
Okay. I got another question is if the agents want to find a guardianship company or provider, can they go through you, go through the BSA?
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. We have several of our certified agents are also certified guardians. So we have certified guardians, we have certified agents, and we have a few who are both agent and guardian. So absolutely, come through me and I will help you with any queries and I will help you through the process of certification.
Okay. 还有问题吗？大家还有问题没有？ Here's we got another one. If I'd like to get a discount, I'd have to be a member of BOSSA, right?
Yes, if you want to get the discount, you have to be a member of BOSSA. That's correct.
好的，那咱们今天就先到这里。如果还有其他的问题的话，可以把问题直接写邮件给 Caroline，或者是给到我们北京留学服务行业协会，然后我们会把你们的问题集中，然后给到 BSA 这边。So Caroline, thank you for today's presentation, and I will keep you updated if there's any further questions from our members or any other agents.
Thank you, Sang. It's a pleasure. And yes, please don't hesitate at all to get in contact with me for any questions at all. And I'm here to help you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.